internationalization of rupee. Another step that the government of India is now taking is by the way of developing India's own SWIFT-like system. What does that mean?
Right, it is a system where on digital you can do settlements very soon. It's you've seen the SWIFT system operate across the world. Even with Russia for oil payments. So in that sense, the SWIFT-like protocol is the government planning is another step as far as the globalization of the rupee is concerned. We're looking at rupee-based deals the Indian government wants to do with any country when they're buying oil or anything for imports. That's one way of doing it. This is also including rupee in the global settlement system. A new system to help process trade settlement as well. The SWIFT system essentially is about trade settlements. And rupee being the currency in those trade settlements. So far, it's not. But now, if you can include rupee in these SWIFT trade settlements, then that is a great way of taking it. Just the way a dollar note or a dollar as a currency is being used for trade settlements between two countries who don't even have dollar as their own currency. Mm-hmm. The hope is that eventually one fine day, countries which though are not India will also use rupee as their currency for trade, and especially to start with India for all the global trade it does. It will be amazing if we can pay for all of it with rupee. We can strike all those deals with rupee. That's the future that we're looking at going forward. Eventually, that is, we're taking baby steps towards it, and this is another step in that direction.
All right, and it's interesting because India has been trying to internationalize rupee now for a while. There are talks on with Russia. We're already not transacting in dollars, but through this system, bilateral trade could now be settled. If it comes to fruition, bilateral trade between countries, India and any other country, could be settled in rupee. It's a far-fetched technology. It's something that is in works at the moment. Is there some sort of timeline that we can attest to it? I understand we have some very preliminary information coming in. We know that a expert committee of bankers is exploring options, is expected to submit its findings to the government by August.
Right. Once the finding is submitted in August, that's just the timeline for the expert committee to submit its findings. It will be a while before these things can take off. It's not that simple, Shweta. This is the Indian government, India's effort at internationalizing the rupee. We'll have to see the kind of response that we get and the kind of growth that we can get. For now, this is like a feasibility study. Can the rupee be used in SWIFT trade settlements globally? So what the expert committee will do is to see how practical this is going to be, and if not, what are the steps to be taken to make it practical. That this is a preliminary study. This is a feasibility study. We'll have to see the findings of the study will essentially tell us how soon can rupee be used in SWIFT trade settlements across the world.
Mm-hmm. And since we continue to talk about financial transaction, interesting story that's also coming in from Finance Ministry, that is by the way of ATM frauds that have now risen approximately 65%. And this is data, of course, from 2022. So we don't know how and what the data is going to be from 23, but a 65% jump in financial frauds, ATM frauds particularly.
Right, ATM frauds we're looking at hacking, and we're looking at your online payments under vulnerability. ATM cards have been vulnerable for a very, very long time right now. And I guess the thieves have really caught up with all the card technology and the ATM technology. And that's the reason why you're seeing this quantum jump between the years 2021 and 2022. In these days of cyber fraud, the level of protection that a debit card or any card that you have has, is something that's often forgotten because, we all have moved on to UPI. Most of us don't use the debit cards to go to an ATM to withdraw money. So we're probably thinking that we're going to a cardless future. That's what we're going towards, Shweta. But if that's going to be a cardless future, that's the future. The present still involves a lot of cards, debit cards, credit cards, forex cards, or prepaid cards, all kinds of stuff. So the level to which these cards can be protected, the usage of these cards can be protected, there is clearly a gap. There's a lacuna over there. Mm-hmm. There's a huge delta over there, probably because all the focus has been on avoiding cyber fraud. Password-based fraud and hacking-based frauds. But this is a card that we're talking about, a physical card that we're talking about. The same way you have the currency note. the currency note, so much technology goes into it to make sure that the currency note is not, you can't fake that note, you can't do anything with that note, from using a thread and ink and so many things that go into a currency note to keep it safe. Same way, I'm wondering,
Krishna,
is enough being
it's
done to keep
interesting.
cards safe?
Right. It's interesting because the data that's come in, and the data was, of course, reported to a parliamentary committee. We're also talking about financial frauds with respect to UPI. NPCI, the organization that operates UPI, says that on an average, 2,000 customers are reporting cyber frauds daily. Now, and these are just reported numbers. Imagine the number of people who are going through cyber frauds or are a part of it, are a victim of it, who are not able to report it because they don't know what channels to report it to or whose doors to knock on. This is a problem. It's a pressing problem. It's as big as pesky calls. You've got people calling you now, asking you to transfer money, not just directly, but by the way of, oh my, your father called me and he owes me some money, and so on and so forth. Or we owe you some money. Can you click on this link? The modus operandi has become very interesting, very innovative. Just the other day, in fact, I shared a screenshot with my colleagues of how somebody tried to message me. Where they basically said that I am so and so and I need your help and could you help me transfer, and they had someone's profile picture was a well-renowned person, a CEO of a company, and an average individual tend to fall for it, fall for the gimmick that the other side presents to you, and then end up transferring money or end up transferring whatever token amount that they're asking for in hopes of getting it back, never get it back.
Right, obviously the kind of frauds, they're getting innovative on a daily basis, and they involve both phone calls and what they can do with their passwords straight online. And these are extremely dangerous signals and signs, because even as Indians are placing trust in digital payments, and these are the kind of information that can really shake somebody's trust in UPI, because in UPI invariably a person's bank account is connected to the UPI app, which means that any form of hacking, any kind of hacking, leaves your entire bank account open to a criminal to swindle the entire sum of money. Pesky calls, yeah, sure, you get irritated and you cut the call, or report a spam, or use Truecaller to start with. You can be vigilant, and it's an irritation. And sometimes these calls can also tell you the ones that you're talking about, where they can use a call to commit a cyber fraud. This is where we're looking at the cusp of telecom and technology being used for the greatest of frauds possible. And these are extremely dangerous signs, because people's hard-earned money are there in these bank accounts. And it begins, like pesky calls, with vigilance from people. Until we know how to deal with this, and I don't think the authorities know exactly to deal with all kinds of frauds that are mushrooming. So to start with, you have got to protect yourself. There is no authority, there is no entity that you can turn around and say, why can't they do it for me? You have to do it for yourself.
Absolutely.
Make sure that your UPI app is not connected to your salary account. Make sure that when you use a card in an ATM, you're very vigilant about the time you finish the transaction. Don't leave the receipt slip inside your ATM, or don't make sure your bank account balance is shown on the ATM after your transaction. Little things that you can do to protect yourself. I mean, you want to be in the big bad world of technology, you've got to be adept at it as well. You can't be a little child saying, hey, I used UPI, I lost money, please, government has to come and help me now.
Right.
People can't be children about these things anymore.
You've got to be prudent
and aware.
Absolutely. You've got to be very, very prudent in your day-to-day habits. And I think some very interesting points that you brought to fore, Krishna, specifically with respect to how secretive you've got to be around the money that you have, your ATM pin, things that we would laugh off just about a couple of years ago, because who's going to go back and figure out or copy your ATM or get your ATM pin and then try and swindle you out of money, because those were far-fetched events. But now it's coming home. And it's happening to everybody. It's happened to me thrice in last 1 month. So I can only imagine what's happening to people who actually fall for it. It is an important story. Perhaps we can delve deeper into later part of the day.